Hey, what's going on? It's Sean. Welcome to the channel. Today I'd like to talk about building up your strength and endurance as a performer. Now, it's a real thing. Now, picture if you had never lifted weights, let's say, and then you go into the gym for the first time, and some people do this, and you put 245s on the bar, and you get under the bench press and you try to lift it, and you probably can't, or it falls on you, or you can't really get through as many sets as you thought you could. Well, that's because you never built up your strength, because you never built up to it, built up the endurance to be able to get through 25 sets of weightlifting. Or let's just say, another analogy would be that of a triathlete. You're not going to just get out there and run a triathlon, which is what a 4-hour gig is, for singing and playing for 4 hours. That's like running a triathlon or a marathon. When you first run, you're lucky to run a mile. And it's exactly the perfect analogy for performing. Before last year's shutdowns, I was at my peak pinnacle of endurance. So I was an elite 100-mile ultra marathon runner, essentially, at that point. But it wasn't always that way. I took about 5 years off living in Nashville, and I worked in the studio all day and wrote songs. And I didn't play that much. I did demo all day, but it was in bits and pieces, writing and demoing and singing. Consequently, when I came back to performing in late 2014, early 2015, it took me that whole first year. It might have taken me 2 years to get back to the levels I previously was at as far as my endurance and strength and longevity for gigs. And the more you sing and play, the more you practice, the quicker you're going to get back to it. These days, I have much, much less strength and endurance than I did, because for almost an entire year, I didn't work. And nowadays, I'm singing about 7 hours. I'm performing about 7 hours a week on the weekends, and I'm not practicing in between because I'm doing content and I've got other things I'm doing as well creatively. But it's noticeable to me compared to what I used to be able to do. I'd be able to go play 4 hours on a Friday, immediately fly over to another place, play another 3 hours, pull doubles. I didn't like doing it, but I got through it no problem, without being tired, without feeling fatigued. And it's just, I do a weekend of gigs now, which is like 2 days, and I'm definitely much more fatigued. It would take me, let's just say I was a triathlete. It would take me a full year of training full time to get back to that level again. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get back to that level again, because for me, I had reached the limit of what I could physically do playing solo acoustic. And I was on the track to take it to the next level, which is working a lot less and making a lot of money. And that was my tribute band. When all the shutdowns occurred of the entire industry, of the entire economy, all of my tribute band gigs, of which I made 10 times, anywhere from 5 to 10 times the money I would make playing solo, were also canceled. So therefore, that whole idea went out. Needless to say, we all hung around for a year, did sporadic gigs. My full-time weekends didn't start up again until like March, basically, until it was about a year from the shutdown. And this is in Florida, and we were a lot less shut down than other states. Well, let me put it this way. The governor quickly opened the state back up, but local authorities, I'll use that with quotes, and especially these businesses, most of which are woke nowadays, decided to keep mask mandates and stay closed. Several of my venues that I played regularly never opened back up. They went out of business. And so there you go. So now my main gigs are back, although one of them I used to do 2 days a week. I now do one. So anyway, consequently, I'm playing a lot less than I used to play, and I don't foresee ever playing 20, 25 gigs a month again. And like I said, I was segueing out of that because it just gets too hard as you're older. Don't get me wrong, I was blessed to be able to play that much, but nevertheless, I wanted to get out of it at the time. So I guess God heard my prayers and he got me out of it all right. But anyway, I don't have the strength and endurance I used to have. And I actually think I'm gonna have to start putting about an hour a day into singing and playing just to get back to a certain comfort, even to do the 2 days a week now. So that said, if you want to build up your strength and endurance, and you need to as a performer, especially if you're going to perform solo, it doesn't make a difference. You need to practice exactly what you'd be doing on stage. And I would say at a minimum of an hour a day. If you could do it more than that, or if you're practicing an hour a day and then you start getting gigs, those hours add up as well. You know, when I lived in the Orlando area, I didn't work as much as this. I might do 10, 15 gigs a month. So for me, the more gigs I get, I'll roll through the transition period and the period where you're lifting weights and you're sore and your muscles are growing. It's the same thing with your singing and your playing muscles. And you build up over the course of a certain amount of time to be able to play a lot longer. So it was always, I got the gigs, I played the gigs, I practiced a bit during the week, but when you're doing 20 gigs a month, you really have to rest. You can't practice. At that point, it's about getting enough rest so that you don't burn yourself out or get repetitive strain, repetitive stress injuries, mess up your voice, stuff like that. And also, if you're playing outside, and I touched on this in other videos, in a hot climate or even a cooler climate, playing outside in that climate also helps you build up the strength to be able to handle that as well. It's like if you had a job when you were younger and you were doing landscaping or tree work. I've done tree work before, I've done landscaping before, and construction. It takes a while to build up the endurance in that kind of heat as well. So weather is definitely going to be a factor as well. All these things come together, and they work together. So you really just need to get out there and you do it. I would say practice at least an hour at home. So if you want to be a performer, practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. It's the only thing that's going to get you where you need to be as far as your endurance goes. So anyway, that's all I got for you. Little nugget for today. My name is Sean Mormelo, SeanMormelo.com. Thanks for checking it out. Please hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.